Welcome to the Good as Gold Stock Exchange, a series where we take a look at the VGC metagame usage trends and provide brief overviews where we compare which Pokemon increased and decreased the most in usage from one tournament to the next. We'll look at the top 3 Pokemon that had the biggest increase and the 3 with the biggest decrease, as well as the top 1 or 2 restricted Pokemon. We'll also consider how certain Pokemon's usage increase or decreases affects other Pokemon's usage. Lastly, we'll consider the metagame going forward, and include one pick that I think is in a prime spot to perform well based on the current trends. Today, we'll be comparing our last Regulation G tournament, which was Worlds, to the most recent one being Birmingham. Our top gainers from the Birmingham Regional are Chien-Pao, Amoonguss, and Fluttermane, while Zamazenta was the biggest restricted increase. Let's first mention Zamazenta's rise. Although it went up just 5%, that's a huge increase for a restricted Pokemon, as they have lower total overall usage rates than non-restricteds. So why did it rise? Looking at our last metagame from Worlds, we see that the top picks were Calyrex Shadow, followed closely by Calyrex Ice, with Miraidon in third. Zamazenta's access to Wide Guard allows it to block the signature moves from both Calyrexes, and potential Dazzling Gleams from Miraidon. Its steel typing and strong defenses allows it to tank neutral, psychic, and fairy attacks from Cali S. It also completely walls Cali Ice thanks to a defense increase from its ability. Miraidon can still almost one-shot it with the Terra sometimes, but with an ally Rillaboom, Zamazenta can survive many strong Electro Drifts, and it resists its other offensive option in Draco Meteor. Chien-Pao shot up 11%, a massive increase. In restricted metagames, small shifts in restricted usage have big effects on non-restricted Pokemon. Chien-Pao combos incredibly well with Zamazenta. Its Sword of Ruin boosts Zamazenta's powerful body press, making it a perfect defensive and offensive threat. While Zamazenta is also affected by this defense drop, it remains very physically bulky thanks to its stats and its aforementioned defense boost. Amoonguss also rose 12%. Zamazenta is quite weak to Amoonguss, as it resists its main stab and body press, and Zamazenta has no way around Rage Powder or Spore, and Terra Grass is uncommon. Although other Amoonguss counters like Electric Terrain and Safety Goggles remain common, as well as the increase of Chien-Pao, the influence from Zamazenta Rise is likely the main reason for the Amoonguss increase. Fluttermane is our third biggest gain with 6%. Support Fluttermane continues to be the dominant set, with Tornadus nowhere to be seen in the top 12, and Whimsicott hovering below 20% usage. Fluttermane has become the premier speed control Pokemon of the format, being the fastest Paradox Pokemon, aside from Iron Bundle. With a speed boost from Photosynthesis, it's by far the fastest Pokemon in the metagame, outspitting Calyrex S, Miraidon, and every Scarf Pokemon. Along with its strong speed control options in Icy Wind and Thunder Wave, it still has solid damage output with Shadow Ball or Moonblast. All of these options keep Fluttermane relevant. Let's consider our top losers: Urshifu Rapid, Raging Bolt, Farigiraf, and both Calyrexes have lost a lot. Calyrex Ice and Shadow both dropped 6%. Cali Ice primarily due to its very poor matchup against the Rising Zamazenta. It's unable to deal significant damage to it, and it loses the 1v1 thanks to being neutral to body press. Incineroar and Amoonguss usage increases both make Cali Ice's life a lot harder, as it can't be immune to Intimidate and Spore without giving up something from its Terra type or item. Amoonguss also underspeeds it in Trick Room, allowing it to beat it at its own game. Calyrex Shadow likely dropped due to the surrounding Pokemon, aside from Zamazenta. Dark types in Chien-Pao and Incineroar are both up, and both of these are rough matchups for Cali Shadow. It is immune to Zamazenta's body press, and it's not too worried about its next most common move in Heavy Slam, but it may struggle to deal with it since it can't hit it super effectively, and again its signature move is blocked by Wide Guard. Urshifu Rapid, perhaps the most broken Pokemon of all time, dropped 15%. Again, we see the influence of Zamazenta Rising. Surging Strikes, while it does ignore Zamazenta's defense boost and hit it neutrally, is sometimes not even a 2-hit KO. Going for a close combat is only marginally better, as it does slightly more damage, but you still have to contend with the defense boost. Zamazenta's most common Terra type is Dragon, which will resist water and make it neutral to fighting. The rise of Fluttermane and Amoonguss are also poor matchups for Urshifu, with Booster Energy Fluttermane being the most common set. Even Scarf Urshifu will not outspeed it. Not to mention the rise of Rocky Helmet on a variety of Pokemon. Farigiraf dropped 7%. This is a Pokemon that's success heavily depends on the metagame, as its ability Armor Tail can be either invaluable or completely useless, as we saw it drop off in Reg H with less priority attacks around. This current drop can be explained by the aforementioned rise in dark types like Incineroar and Chien-Pao, as well as Zamazenta, which can sometimes one-shot Farigiraf with a neutral body press. The decrease of priority users like Rillaboom and Raging Bolt also likely contributed to Farigiraf's drop. Lastly today, we see Raging Bolt take a hit of minus 8%. I struggle to see a reason for this Pokemon's drop, as everything it wants to do is still strong. Perhaps the rise of Chien-Pao with super effective ice attacks, and a faster priority move in Sucker Punch, as well as the increase of a Moongus that can tank its attacks, along with redirection to stop moves like Thunderclap have put a damper on Raging Bolt. Summary and predictions. Zamazenta solidifies its place in the top 4 restricteds, as it's an incredibly tight race with usages at 18, 17, 17, and 16%. All 4 remain very viable. The shifts of one restricted heavily impact the rest of the metagame. I feel Chien-Pao is somewhat overvalued and will likely drop in the upcoming regional. With Fluttermane and Incineroar usage up, both of these again will likely reduce Chien-Pao's usage. Raging Bolt I believe is currently undervalued and will likely rise up again while Chien-Pao dips. Now to consider this week's prime pick. With Pokemon like Amoonguss, Chien-Pao, and Zamazenta rising, while Calyrex Ice, Calyrex Shadow, and Rillaboom continue to be common, as well as the reduction of the Water-type Urshifu, I think Chi-Yu is in a prime spot to rise up. With its Fire offense being highly effective right now, and its Snarl's special attack reduction can be very effective at reducing many restricted's damage output, like Calyrex Shadow, Miraidon, and Terapagos. Thanks for tuning in to today's Good as Gold Stock Exchange.